XRP is on the edge. So we just got this huge liquidation on the 10th, and we are attempting to get out of this. We'll see if we are able to break back up here. We really need to get above this yellow line, or if we're just going to fall off again, which is also possible. We'll be talking about that in the video today. Which outcome is potentially most likely? We'll see. So XRP is hanging out at levels where we were over here. Whoopsies. Let me start that. Okay. Similarly to where we were at over here, right after the liquidation event, when we retraced, we got up to about 264. We're sitting at about that same level. So XRP is attempting to break out higher, but we could be dealing with some resistance here. Certainly possible we could have a little bit more downside potentially. Yeah, there's a couple ways this could play out. You know, I did come out with a video on October 10th saying that I bought here. You know, I was hoping that we were just going to have a V-shaped recovery, but after further investigation, you know, there are definitely some concerns here as well, and I'll be sharing that with y'all. And then we'll also look at the XRP astrology, as that's what we do on this channel. So let's look at the volume. I mean, we're 300 billion in the last 24 hours. That's like okay, but it's not super high volume. There's a chance the daily exchange volume could be creating a low here. That would actually be pretty good. If we can create a significant low there and then start working our way back up again, that would be good. But back to XRP. So let's look at the weekly close. So we got a green weekly bar. But let's look at previous times when we've had liquidations in the recent history. You know, during the Trump tariffs scare, you know, we got the big liquidation, then we worked our way up, then we got a big green bar, but that green bar closed above this previous retrace right here. So the green bar closed way above there. Yeah, so basically this green bar closed above the level of this retrace right here. And so far we are not getting that. I mean, and actually that went a lot faster. That liquidation happened fast. We got the retrace and it was basically up to this level already. It was past the retrace level right there. So we still have work to do. I mean, yeah, the liquidation event of April 7th was a lot quicker. I mean, it was just one flush out. Then by day 3, we had a green bar that was almost working its way all the way out of it. And so it was only, since the liquidation, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, and we were already making our way back out of that V-shaped recovery. Whereas we've gone a lot longer than that. We've gone like 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And we still haven't worked our way out of this liquidation event. So that's concerning. It's not just a V-shaped recovery so far. We are attempting to retrace. You know, we also had a liquidation event February 3rd. A lot of fear on that day. We had the big dump, but then right after the dump, a massive retrace. Massive retrace, but then it fell off again. Then it went back down almost to the 50% level from the liquidation event. Was bouncing up and down, and then it broke up to here where it was before the flush out. But then even after that, it had further downside here. So we could something like this could happen where we maybe we make it up to like 284 or something like that. But then after that, there could be further downside, just like there was in February. So that's a concern. And let's look at some other charts here that I have for y'all. Okay, this is by Blockchain Backer, and historically he's been pretty spot on. I mean, he got very close to calling the top last cycle, was very impressive, and he is talking about, he's comparing the liquidation event we just had October 10th to other liquidations in history. It looks like May 2024, where we get a retrace, but then it tends to fall off from there. So, you know, I'm not here to come on to tell y'all what you want to hear. I'm just here to look at the data and look at the charts and keep it simple. He's also saying XRP has created a structure that commonly leads to capitulation. So this would not be good for the bulls. We could have further downside. So this is exactly why I have taken profits. I took profits right here at 264. Now we're at 264 again. So I'm in like almost 50% cash right now. Okay. The main reason is because of these concerns that this is potentially just a retrace and we could have further downside. I'm not guaranteeing that this is the end of the bull market, but we are seeing some concerns. XRP has gone on a nice ride, and let me show you this chart as well. Wait, hold on. So yeah, we have this. This could be a capitulation event. This is a big concern here. If we look at what happened with Hedera hash graph, H bar, back in the 2021 cycle, look at how similar this looks to what XRP is doing right now. We had, you know, I'm talking about over here on the left, we had, you know, a big breakout like XRP had in November of last year. Super exciting, but then it fell off in like what, February, March. Then it got another huge breakout, and XRP, you know, went to 365, and people were thinking we're going to $5. I was thinking we're going to $5, but then it just kind of fell off after that, and then it got a big liquidation event recently. That, at least for H bar in the last cycle, the last bull market, that was the peak was already in by that point, and it had a massive retrace here. And people are probably getting bullish again or wanting to say we're going higher, but then it just fell off after that. So we have to just look at the charts here. We have to be unemotional, and we've got to be level-headed and consider this big potential risk here. All right, I'm telling y'all, because I've been through these bear markets and they are not fun. They are not fun at all. So that's why I'm in 50% catch. I need the XRP chart to prove to me that we need to get above this yellow line. We need to get above 318, but not just that. We need to close above it. We need to get like weekly closes above 318, and we need to bounce off of it as support and work our way higher. I need that proof. The proof is in the pudding. Otherwise, you know, we certainly could go back down to some level. I don't know, maybe 210, or it's definitely possible we could even go to 185 or something crazy like that. Because we just had this massive liquidation event, and this wasn't like a COVID event. You know, COVID was in the end of the bear market. This is like well into the bull market, and this could even be the end of the bull market. Possibly. I need to consider that. We can't say that without a shadow of a doubt it's not, because we have already gotten, you know, one major peak. Well, really like three, almost like one major peak, two major peaks, three major peaks, and then a liquidation event after those peaks. So that's why that's the big concern. So unless we break out above 318 and we hold that as support, there's definitely some concerns here. Now, it could easily go to 284 or something like that, 290. It could definitely do that. But especially with this liquidity, there's a big liquidity gap actually up to 284. So I actually think we're probably going to go to 284 at some point to grab that liquidity because there's all sellers there, no buyers. We could fill that gap, but can't say there's not more downside after that. If we look at just the altcoins, we look historically after each peak, and then we had liquidation events. We had a liquidation event, then we work our way up to the top of that liquidity event, and then it just falls off again. Same thing over here. We had a liquidation event, and then a retrace trying to break its way through again, but then it actually gets rejected again. And then we had, this is unfortunate. I mean, it was a lower peak. This is a much lower peak than back in December. We had a lower high and then a liquidation event. This is not super bullish. And we could make it out back up to the, there's actually a liquidity gap here. We could make it to this yellow circle here, but that's not to say we couldn't fall off again down there. So that's another concern. And we need to get well past 391 billion. We needed to get way up here. We were all the way down here. We made a lower high, so that's not looking great for the altcoins. So it's tricky. Let's take a look at the astrology to see if the astrology gives us any hints. Oh, but before that, I also want to show y'all. Let's see. Let me close this. And then the XRP cycles chart here. This is the thing. This is one thing that's actually really bullish. If it plays out in this way, is that the cycles chart is showing potential upside, potential upswing in November. So maybe XRP corrects down a little bit towards the end of the month, but if it's able to move back up in November, that would be very good. If we're able to get back to 319 again and hold that as support, that's gonna be super good. So can't fully count that out either. That's why I still have 50% of my bags in crypto, some in XRP. So that's one possible saving grace. Then we look at the XRP astrology. I'm going to look out 3 months or 4 months because even after that liquidation event, we did have the Saturn sextile, the XRP Mars, and we did get a decent recovery around the 17th. Let's see. Let's double check that. So the 17th was right here. Well, we had a little bit of a pump there. So that was the last major positive astrology we had for XRP. But still, I mean, it didn't even make it past like 260 or 265 on the 17th. Then we just have a bunch of small transits until December. I mean, we have Pluto, the planet of wealth, sextiling the XRP ascendant. That might be slightly positive, but that's a direct hit on January 6th. That's 2026. But let me look at the other XRP chart. We also have Uranus trining the XRP Mars in January next year. But I also have another XRP chart. I look at both of them. This one has historically been a little bit more accurate, in my opinion. Because on October 10th, when we had that liquidity event, there was a hard square here. Uranus squaring the XRP ascendant, bringing in that massive volatility and unpredictability, as Uranus often does. We also have had Jupiter squaring the XRP Saturn right before that liquidation event, which is a slight negative. Jupiter squaring Saturn can bring some humbling events, bringing a dose of reality and crashing overly optimistic thoughts and beliefs. We're getting that again December 17th, so that's a slight concern. But then we're also getting Saturn sextiling the XRP Jupiter in January 24th. But that's a long ways away. There's a lot can happen before then. We still got to get through November, December. This is really positive. Uranus conjunct the XRP Jupiter. Uranus is the planet of crypto and technology, conjunct Jupiter, the planet of expansion and optimism and good luck. So there's a, not guaranteed, but there's a chance that January 1st is really bullish. And it does show a hint to that on this chart, the XRP cycles, where it's showing a potential, oh, that goes all the way to March. Holy moly. I mean, this cycles chart actually shows it could be really bullish well into next year, but we still got to get through November. We got to see if XRP can make some higher lows in November, December. If it can, if it does that, then this could be really bullish heading into next year. But then that would really be an extended bull market cycle. So we're really kind of stuck in between two worlds here. Like, is this the end of the bull market, or is it just the beginning of a major ride up into 2026, 2027? And that is exactly what I covered in my private Crypto Astro Mastermind group call that I did 5 days ago. I have the recording up, and I talked about, is crypto going to get an extended bull market cycle, which is totally possible. Let me show you all this chart really quick. This is based on Elliott waves from Michael Pizzino. I recommend his channel. And based on the Elliott waves, he's saying that we could get an extended bull market cycle that could go into 2026, certainly possible, before the bear market comes, which also lines up with Raoul Pal's theory that basically Raoul Pal's been talking about the business cycle, how crypto often follows the business cycle. You know, if we're talking about XRP, you know, XRP got its massive peak in 2017, right when the business cycle peaked here. It also got a bull market peak 2021, where it peaked right here. And it was, you know, historically in the history books, it was following this perfect sine wave here. But then all of a sudden, you know, we should have gotten a peak here in 2025, Q4, but the business cycle is really just falling off. Well, actually, maybe that was Q3. We should have gotten a peak, but it was still way down here. The black line was not following the red line. So Raoul Pal is talking about how that is because this cycle has changed due to the amount of money printing that the government made in the COVID event, that liquidity is not coming back into the market, or at least the ISM could get an extended cycle well into 2026, maybe Q3, Q4, 2026. And if that is the case, then crypto could get a nice bull run. So I talk in much more detail about this in terms of the astrology, what the astrology is showing, if the astrology matches up with this potential possibility that we could get an extended crypto bull run cycle in 2026 and even into 2027. So if you guys want to get access to that, where I dive deep into the astrology, it's a fascinating call that I did, a training talking about, will we get that extended cycle 2026, 2027? What is the astrology saying? Is it lining up with what Raoul Pal is saying? All of those things. So we dive into a lot of really interesting stuff. If you want to get access to that, jump into the link below. Click the link below this video. You click sign up now. You go to the full pay option as you can. If there's still spots left, there's 3 days left to potentially get this coupon code. So if you type "to the moon" at the bottom of the page, if you get the $500 savings, then you can get started right away with an unbelievable discount for lifetime access. You get lifetime access every month just for only this amount, $497. If the coupon code does not work, then that means your spot has already been taken. there's only 3 days left until the end of the month where spots will run out. So definitely jump on that ASAP if you want to get that training, see if we are heading into an extended bull market into next year. Okay. So yeah, that's really interesting that the astrology is showing some decent stuff. 2 months from now, we still got a ways to go. But in the meantime, is XRP going to be able to hold up during all of that time? Are we going to be able to hold up above, are we going to be able to stay above $2.50? Are we going to just be trading sideways for December? Or are we going to head well above this, this yellow line of potential resistance there, 319? Are we going to be able to bounce off of that before we head up much higher? That would be great. But if it does something like H-bar did in the last cycle, then that's all she wrote, and we could be heading down. So that's one of the reasons I'm 50% cash. If we do head up, I could miss out on like 20% gains, which would hurt a little bit, but at least I'm not, have all of my money into my portfolio if we have this massive downside risk. If it does head above this, level of resistance, then I could buy back in, in the case we head to like $5, maybe even $8, could be some good upside. But will that happen well into 2026? Maybe even 2027? And I give some really, really interesting hints in my I saw some really interesting things in the astrology in terms of 2026 and 2027. But the challenging thing is, are we going to get like maybe, are we just going to kind of trade sideways until then? Are we going to get more downside where everyone thinks it's a bear market before we work our way up? So there's a lot that goes into this analysis. Check out, the links below to get access. Thanks everybody for tuning in. What else could we look at? Let's see what questions we have in the comments. Appreciate your efforts, bro. Told XRP has CME gap at 2.05. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, XRP could easily. So in terms of technical analysis, I'm seeing like either we're going to head back down, and this is very short term. Either we're going to head down to 250 before we work our way back up to maybe 284, or we could just go to 284 right now. And then I think there would be a likely correction after that. And then in the bullish case, we work our way up after that. But are we going to be able to get through that level of resistance at $3.18? Or are we just going to kind of head down a bit further? So it's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky here, guys. I mean, the fact that we've already spent so many days down here. I mean, if it was just a V-shaped recovery, we would have been like back up here by now. We would have been about like 318. But we weren't able to do that. We've had like, how many... On October 14th, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 days down. Then we had 1, 2, 3 days up. Then 1, 2, almost 3 days down. Then 1, 2, 3, 4 days up. We could be heading down again here, possibly, maybe to 250. So tricky. Yeah, but the fact that we got this liquidity event, after this massive peak here, is definitely concerning. Because this wasn't a liquidity event that marks the end of the bear market. This is right after a massive peak. So really tricky. I'll keep you guys updated. Let me know what questions you have in the comments below. Let me know what you guys are doing. If you think we're just going to the moon from here, or if we have more work to do. Taking a look at Twitter, there's still just a lot of bullish posts all over my Twitter feed, also known as X. So that's a bit of concern because, I don't know. Historically, when everyone thinks we're going up, then it's not going down. But let's see what people are saying on Twitter. If this trend line extends into 2025, 2026, we should see the biggest alt season of all time. So that's interesting. Yeah, could we see that extended altcoin cycle? Oh, yeah, another thing that's really important to look at is this chart. let's see, I think it's this one. When we go to the weekly, this is the altcoins versus Bitcoin. What happened in the last cycle is, we got this massive run, but then it fell down, and it took months and months and months, years, to reach for altcoins to get down to these levels at 0.25. And it hit this level of support here 1, 2, 3 times. It went below it even before, and then we had the massive altcoin run. January 2021 was super bullish year. But we still have not made it down to this white bar still. And so it could be a while. We might have to altcoin. We almost tapped it on this, the liquidation event, but it might take a while. We might have to bounce off of this potential level of support here, but then is it going to have to tap it 3 times like last time? In 2019 we tapped it, in 2020 we tapped it, and then a third time in 2020 we tapped it, and then it went below it, and then that was the start of the massive altcoin run. Are we going to have to tap it 1, 2, 3 times again? I mean, and when is that going to be? Is that going to be 2026, 2027? And then is that going to be the start of the crazy altcoin run that we've all been waiting years and years and years and years and years for? It's tricky to say, but if history repeats, maybe that's what has to happen. But in the meantime, we've spent years just on this slight downtrend of altcoins versus Bitcoin. It's been painful for a lot of people who haven't just been holding Bitcoin. It's been more of a trader's market. Like, it goes up, then it goes down, then it goes up, then it goes down, then it goes up. And each of these times we thought so it's almost been more of a trader's market. But is the bull market, is the real altcoin run going to start later? We will talk about that more, and I cover that on the training. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next video. Oh, let's see what comments we got here. Do you cover algo at all? No, I don't. Yeah, in order to cover algo, I'd need the birthday of it, of the Genesis block, the birth time, and the location. So it can be tricky to find that information. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.